What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd Hypotheticals.
Hello everybody and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show where we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi, guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben. And last weekend, I actually did something sort of fun. I went to my 10-year high school reunion.
Ooh, 10 years.
Wait, why?
So, okay, I was not going to go because, so sort of as some background, I moved from Texas to New Jersey going into sophomore year of high school.
Oh, so it's a pretty big trip for you.
Well, no, what I mean is that, like, I only knew the people who would be there for 3 years. And then I kind of, because of the way that Northeastern was structured, I didn't go home a whole lot after, like, the first, summer we were at college. And my parents also moved to Virginia while we were in college. So I hadn't been back to New Jersey at all in, 8 years.
Did you go to your 5-year reunion?
I did not.
You did not?
That would have been in that 8 years. Would like to point that out. But
okay.
Yeah.
I was not paying attention to the numbers.
Yeah, well, that's okay. No one probably is.
We don't do math on this podcast, Ben. Come
We
on.
frequently do math on this podcast. Come on, Marcus. Be reasonable here. But some of my friends did a Facebook Messenger group and were like, hey, you guys going? And I was like, yeah, I guess if you guys are all going, I should go. There was one of my friends was coming from Germany, and I figured that if he was coming from Germany, I could drive down from fucking Massachusetts, so...
Oh, I was wondering what convinced you, because sometimes it's tough for you to, come 10 minutes to my place. You're like, yeah, I'd rather not. I couldn't imagine what got you all the way to Texas on, hey,
New Jersey. Wait,
together.
Okay, I need to clear this
Jersey.
up. Going to New Jersey.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were initially saying you went to Texas. It was like, oh, it's a big trip.
No, I definitely would not have gone to Texas.
Okay, this is the more reasonable trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of annoying. I had to get a hotel room that I shared with the guy from Germany because his parents had also moved away in the time since high school. But we didn't just have a place to crash nearby because, our family was gone and everything. But man, high school reunions, pretty weird, turns out.
Yeah, I think that's their reputation, Ben. I think you should have known that before you even went in or signed up for it.
Yes, I knew that, but on the bright side, the person at the front door slipped up and gave me 2 extra drink tickets, so that was cool.
I don't think that's an accident. I think everyone just needs to drink a lot and they know.
No, it was just me. I lucked out. I think they got full over on each other or something, so.
Wait, so Marcus, you don't plan on going to yours?
No, I don't even know. I mean, theoretically, it should be happening about the same time. Maybe it happened already. Who knows?
So generally they happen around Thanksgiving a lot of the time because people are frequently home for Thanksgiving and they can just go.
Yeah, that's when mine is this year.
Well, I guess I haven't moved away from my high school. My parents haven't moved away from my high school home, and I still visit them fairly frequently.
Yeah.
So the people that I still care about that I knew in high school, I've hung out with fairly recently. So I guess maybe that's a thing. But everybody I haven't seen since high school, I don't even know if they're alive, honestly.
It was really interesting, the number of people where, and this was almost everyone there, it was I recognize the face, I would probably recognize your name if I heard it, I cannot associate the two whatsoever.
Yeah, people look way different as adults.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably look way different.
Anyone who grows a beard or something is just who are you even?
It's weird because you can sort of recognize a little bit.
Right,
but you
exactly.
can't put your finger on it.
Yeah. It's very strange.
And then you put your finger on it and they're like, stop touching that.
Yeah, don't touch me. It's not, it's frowned
no
upon.
touching. It's right there on the bag banner. It says no touching.
Oh, that was the other fun thing too, is that I have lost somewhere between 40 and 50 pounds since high school. So no one recognized me. It was great.
Did you have name tags?
No, we did not.
Wait, why wouldn't you put name tags? That's should be step number fucking 1 is give everyone a name tag.
Well, it depends on the year, because I went to my 5-year and there were no name tags. Because it was just a bar setting and people were just drinking at the bar. I wasn't sure about the 10-year, what the structure usually is.
Ours was bar. It was there was a function room above a diner that had a bar and then a little seating area that sat maybe 80 people or something. So it was pretty low key.
How many people went?
I'd say somewhere between 80 and 100.
Oh wow. How big was your high school class?
It was 400 to 500. So around a quarter.
That seems like a decent hit rate.
It was decent.
That-
Yeah, it wasn't bad, honestly.
That would put like 40 people at my high school reunion if it existed and if I went to it.
Oh, yeah. It was very fun. I will say that as like sort of weird and awkward frequently as the reunion XL was, it was really fun to actually see my friends from high school again. Like the people who I actually went there to see. It was cool seeing them again. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, I do plan on going to mine.
And we did go to a bar afterwards and get absolutely hammered, which was fun.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
How many people did you tell about our podcast?
0. Literal 0.
0? Literally 0, Ben? You didn't mention it one time? Like, what are you up to? I don't know. I've been doing a podcast.
Okay, to be fair, I also got fucking engaged, which is kind of the more pressing news to like share.
Yeah, but engaging doesn't have, like, stats online that I can check, Ben.
The stat would be engaged, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, engaged.
It's binary.
I am. No, I actually honestly did mean to mention it at some point, and I never thought to. Like, it just never came up.
I don't know. See, it comes up for me all the time because people will just, like, mention anything closely related to a topic we've done in the past. I'm like, oh, hold on. I got some fun facts. And then I like very quickly realize, okay, the fun facts I'm spewing right now are very specific.
They don't make any sense out of context unless I explain.
They make sense in the context, but the context of why I would know it in the first place
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
So I know the security of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, very well. Do you know they do like a Girl Scout thing there? And like there's like the guard shifts happen at like 6:30 p.m., but it's okay because they have like closed circuit cameras in those rooms.
I'm going to go ahead and just make a blanket statement here, Marcus. Maybe don't, in the future, tell people your knowledge of Girl Scout sleepovers.
I mean, if they're talking about Girl Scout sleepovers already, it might just come up.
I mean... I guess
Look,
technically...
Chris picked the example that we're going off of right now. This specific one is not
It
happened
wasn't
to me.
Girl Scout, it was just any sleepover. You picked the Girl Scout thing.
No, you said you started with stealing Declaration of Independence.
Right.
And that
then-
was our Declaration of Independence answer,
Yeah,
so
but
you brought it up.
My answer of that question was the sleepover, and it was not a Girl Scout sleepover.
What was it then?
It was just
It
a
was
normal
just sleepover,
sleepover for
yeah.
anyone.
Wait, what kind of... Who would go to, like, an anonymous random sleepover for kids? That's so
No,
weird.
it's not,
Okay.
it's a group thing, so you have a group of people that are friends. It's not random people.
Anonymous sleepover sounds far worse than it probably is.
I don't know. That's even weirder than having to go to a 10-year reunion.
It's like a birthday thing.
It's a birthday thing.
Maybe I just don't understand socializing. Maybe that's what it is. But there's another big thing today. Is it actually today? When is this episode
It's
coming out?
like 3 days from now.
3 days from now. 3 days from now, it's America's birthday. July 4th, the Independence Day. And in honor of it being the most American of all holidays, our question is, what if red, white, and blue were the only colors? No other colors except the glorious red, white, and blue. Chris, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so first I want to go through like how this actually works because it took us a while to like land on rules for this. So we're saying that like the physics of the light of all light is the same, it still stays the same, but we perceive that light differently. So like if our brain sees a color that isn't red and it's supposed to be red, then it'll just be red to us. So we broke it up by like the spectrum of light. So red and orange are going to be red, yellow and green are going to be white, and blue and purple are going to be blue. So, for example, if you see like a yellow flower, that yellow flower will be white, not yellow.
Right.
And we were saying that it's only the 3 shades on the flag, those specific shades. There aren't like darker shades or lighter shades, but there are
And no,
shadows.
like, mixing, yeah.
There are shadows, so you can have like darker colors if there's a shadow on it. So like the absence of light, if you have like a really dark room, you'll see black. So those are the rules. I think that's all the rules, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And for my answer, I looked at colors in nature. So basically, the sky pretty much stays the same. The sky is blue, it has white clouds, and during the sunrise and sunset, it turns red. Basically the same.
I mean, it's going to be very different blue.
It'll be
Right.
sort of a different blue, a little darker blue.
Sunrises are going to be a little funky because it's just going to be like...
There'll be no in-betweens. It'll just be
yeah,
red.
line of... just the bottom of it, like, will be red as it rises up.
Yeah, but I think night will still be the same because night is the absence of light, right?
That rhymed way too many times for me to answer you seriously.
Yeah, I believe the answer to your poem is yes.
Is yes. Okay.
We've solved the riddle. Now we can go into the secret room,
Right.
where the rest of Chris's answer is.
Yes, and in the secret room we discover that besides the sky, everything else is pretty different. So, first of all, since there's only 3 colors, I want to see if, like, contrast would be a problem for, like, navigating. So, like, if everything's the same color, then it might be hard to, like, walk around without running into something.
Mm-hmm.
And to look at this, I had to look at something called light reflectance values, which is basically the percentage of light that a color reflects. So black, they abbreviate it LRV, and black has an LRV of 0%, and white has 100%. But they say that, like, an absolute 100% is actually impossible, but it gets very close to 100%. And then for our blues and reds, I wanted to see... So I found the specific shade of blue and the specific shade of red. And the hex codes, in case you want to look it up, listeners, are...
I know what I'm going to do on my Saturday.
Yeah, so the blue is 002868, and the red is BF0A30. So those are the shades on the flag. And the blue has an LRV of 2.5%, and the red is 11.5%. Now, these numbers might not really mean a lot to you right now, but so building codes, they require a certain amount of visual contrast between objects. So it's like you can easily tell them apart. And some examples of this are like seating areas, sloped floors, doors, handrails, stuff like that. And it's specifically designed for like visually impaired people. So they landed on a number. So they have this formula that like calculates what they call like contrast points. And using this formula, they have a requirement that these objects have to be 30 points away from me. Like there has to be a 30-point difference between the object and surroundings. So obviously white is very different from red and blue.
Right.
So didn't really have to look at that. But I wanted to see how close red and blue are to each other. And using the formula, they're actually 78 points apart. So they're also clear. They're fine. So all 3 colors contrast enough from each other. But obviously, if there's the same color in one area, it's going to be a problem. And this is actually going to happen a lot because there's only 3 colors. And the biggest example of this is probably like vegetation and trees and plants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty green bias there.
Yeah, it's all green. And according to our rules, green equals white. So all that stuff is going to be white. So like grass, lawns, forests, it's all going to be white. It's going to be a lot of white. And then the tree trunks are actually going to be... So we didn't say what brown is going to be, but I feel like brown is like a darker version of red. So I said that the tree trunks are going to be red.
That's going to be pretty crazy looking forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be red trunks, white leaves. And then in autumn, the entire tree is going to just be red, which that's a lot of red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the next step I wanted to look at was like what gives animals their color, because this is plants. We want to look at animals too. And usually color comes from pigments, but animals don't produce their own pigment. They usually, so only plants, algae, aphids, and mites produce pigments. And then the animals get their pigment from whatever they eat. So one of the examples I found was flamingos. They have a pinkish hue, or like sort of an orangish pinkish hue, because they eat shrimp.
But then what do shrimp eat? And then the shrimp get their hue from the next thing.
Yeah. So you might have heard that if you eat too many carrots, then your skin turns orange. And that's because carrots have something called carotene, which is like an orange-red pigment. And carotene is actually a type of carotenoid, and carotenoids, yeah, it's a...
Now you're just making up words, yeah.
It does sound like a made-up word that just derived from
they
carotene.
get eaten by carotenids, and
And carotenoids are actually one of the most common types of pigment in nature, and they're like red-orange. So there's a lot of red in nature.
Got it.
There's also a lot of green in nature from, obviously, chlorophyll, which is a green pigment. So lots of red and lots of white in our world, in our hypothetical world. So how does this affect our animals with all the red and white? I looked at natural selection, and I think natural selection will actually tip the animal colors either all towards red or all towards white, depending on the environment. So the example I looked at was, well, like forests, the tree trunks are red, and then like they're usually in dirt, and the dirt is probably going to be red too. So if that's an all red environment, then any prey in that environment, if it's red, it's easier to camouflage. So that means it's easier to survive for that prey. And then all the white prey will die out because they stick out, and it's easier for the predators to kill them. On the flip side, if you're looking at the predators, the red predators blend in more to the environment, so that it's easier for them to like sneak up on prey. And if they're white, they stand out more, and the prey will just run away. So in this red environment, all the red will survive and all the white will die out. And you'll just have all red. And the same thing happens for the white. So if you have a white environment, then you'll just have all white animals. This is over like a long period of time.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of what's going to happen, just depending on if you're in red or in white. And you might have noticed I haven't mentioned blue yet. And that's because blue is very, very rare in nature. So there aren't a lot of blue animals. There are blue butterflies and like blue jays and blue birds and other stuff like that.
Well, not anymore, based on how natural selection is going to go.
Yeah, well...
No blue environments for you, assholes.
So those blue animals, actually, they don't have a blue pigment. That blue comes from something else called coherent scattering. So, like, looking at the butterfly as an example, instead of pigments, its wings have these, like, small scales on its wings. And if you, like, zoom in to a microscopic scale, they have tiny, tiny structures that, like, they bounce around the light waves, and they cause the light waves to interfere with each other, and all the colors cancel out except for blue. So it's not due to a pigment, it's due to the geometry of the wing that makes it
How
blue.
do you even evolve that? That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how they evolved it, but it happened.
It's like, yeah, I can understand, like, hi, I'm a flamingo, I'm turned pink because I eat shrimp. And then the butterfly's like, I have a complex network of mirrors and reflectors that result in all the remaining colors to be canceled out except for the blue color.
Yeah. And that's not just for the butterfly, that's for blue jays, any like blue bird, for pretty much all of them. There's only one known animal that has a blue pigment, and it is the olive-winged butterfly. It has a small strip, it's not even the whole wing, it's like a small strip on the wing. But these butterflies are very uncommon, and we really don't know that much about them. So, yeah.
So, yeah, not too many blue animals around.
Right, not too many blue animals.
The fact that there's just like one animal that has a color of pigment is absurd to me.
Randomly.
Nature is, yeah.
And just in general, like there isn't a lot of blue, like natural blue sources. So looking at plants, like there are some blue plants, but they're actually blue not because of a blue pigment. They have a modified version of anthocyanin, which is a red pigment. And for some reason that makes them look blue.
Well, if it's modified red to look blue, isn't it just blue pigment?
Well, it's the same. So it's the same pigment that's in cherries, is what they said. So I don't know how it's modified to make it look blue, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just got turned blue. That sounds like a modification to me.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part, but that's what they said. So I'm going with it.
The scientists said it. They said it's not blue, even though it's blue.
So because blue is so rare in nature, it's actually been absent in the past in like the world's history, or at least like human history. So the first colors to emerge in pretty much every civilization are black, white, and red. So like in cave drawings and stuff in ancient art, those are the three predominant colors. And the same goes for language. Usually the first three color words to pop up are black, white, and red.
Right.
And to illustrate this, actually, in Homer's The Odyssey, black appears 200 times, white appears 100 times, red appears 15 times, yellow and green appear 10 times, and blue does not appear at all.
Huh.
He doesn't mention blue once.
Did they have a word for blue? Or is it just...
So, I'll get to that. So, obviously, the sky is blue, and like the ocean is blue. You'd be like, why don't they have a word for it? But most older texts, when they're describing the sky, they describe it as green. And on maps, the water is shown to be green up until like as late as the 1600s. they just show the water is green. So blue has kind of been lumped into the green category for a long time. And a common word for blue finally emerged in 1200s in Germany. So they would extract indigo from a plant called woad, which is actually a yellow plant, but they extract indigo, which is blue, a blue dye from it. And they started making blue clothes from it and started trading blue stuff. And their trading of blue required a word for it. So they came up with blau, B-L-A-U. So that's sort of where blue derives from.
I mean, that's still just the German word for blue.
Right.
Today still, that's just the word for blue.
Right. But that's like the first common use of the word.
Gotcha.
And then in the 1400s, they finally learned how to make ultramarine from lapis lazuli, which is like a mineral, is like a blue mineral.
Right.
And ultramarine is like super, super vibrant blue. It's a blue pigment. And when they discovered this, it became like extremely valuable just because it's so vibrant and all the artists wanted it. But it was also really, really expensive. So it wasn't really common still. And it wasn't until a pigment maker was trying to make a red dye, but he accidentally mixed potassium with iron, and he ended up making a blue dye. And the blue dye was super affordable and sustainable, so it became a lot more common.
I'd like to imagine that guy is one who didn't really know about blue, and he just like made this. He's like, "What the fuck is this color?"
Right, yeah.
It's like, why did I make this crummy green? Nobody's gonna want this.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to make red, and they said that he mixed potash with, I forget what the other thing was, but the other thing accidentally had some blood in it, and the blood had iron in it. So the potash has potassium, the blood has iron, and that made blue.
Could you imagine, like, it's your job to, like, make red dye, and, like, you're like, okay, I've been doing this for, like, a decade already, and you go, and you mess it up like that, and it turns blue, and, like, your boss walks in, and it's like, you got that red dye ready? And you're like, it's like, this is very, very obviously wrong.
It was wrong, but it was probably a better result.
Yeah, kind of a good
really
news,
popular.
bad news situation, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, bad news, we're not going to fulfill our order to the king, and he's going to murder us. Good news, we might be rich enough now to not have to die.
Right. We might actually be the king now.
Yeah,
I think we're the king now, I think. Is that how that works?
I think it's how it works.
probably. Yeah, so that's basically led us up to this point where blue's super common. So in terms of the popularity of blue in our world, I feel like blue, just because it's so rare in the natural world, once we discover it, it's going to be extremely popular. Like, this popularity is going to be amplified by like 100 in our red, white, and blue world, because everything else in nature is going to be red and white. So I feel like all the natural stuff is going to be red and white, and all the man-made stuff is going to be blue.
Yeah, just to be different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
And that's basically what I ended up with. No, like, ridiculous conclusions, but
Grass is white, trees are reddish, and buildings are blue.
yes.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It's not a nightmare, Ben. It's the American dream.
Yes. Red, white, and blue.
I will take your word for it.
What do you mean you're gonna take my word for it, Ben? You live here.
What does that even mean? We don't live in a red, white, and blue world.
You live in America. Reddest, whitest, bluest world there is.
I mean, other countries use red, white, and blue for their flags.
That's actually very true.
Yeah, but we do it best.
Do we?
Yes.
Do we?
Ben, have some gosh dang pride. It's July 4th.
Ben, tell us about what you did.
So I look at art. So an important fact that I learned about art while doing research here is that most of it has more than 3 colors in it. I don't know if you guys knew this,
I
but
never noticed.
the vast majority of art uses more than 3 colors. So we're already pretty far behind starting this this process. Additionally, even the ones that do have small numbers of colors usually have shades of those colors, which we also do not have. So we're actually very far behind with regards to art. But I wanted to see how far, like in the eyes of classical art training, how far behind are we? And I found these 7 elements of art that are like things that are taught.
There's fire,
Yes.
earth, water,
Wind
air,
and
spirit.
heart. That's the first
Wind and
5. Then Captain and Planet, 7 elements of art.
Captain Planet is number 7.
Yes.
Or he's number 6.
6 and 7, actually.
No, he's number 6, and then green is number 7, which is where we run into our problem.
Right, exactly. We're missing the green. No, but for real though, there are actually like classically 7 elements of art. So and some of these, and partially this is just because I think the website I found them on had like really hilarious descriptions for some of them, but some of these are really funny. So like the first one is just line, which are lines. I hope I don't have to describe those too much. They did for like a paragraph.
What direction are the lines?
Any of them. That's the beauty of lines. It's a thing that goes between 2 points. It's a line. Second element of art is color, which is a place where, as we discussed, we run into some trouble. So we're going to go ahead, sort of, leave that one for now and know we have some issues. Third is shape, which is the result of closed lines, which feels like it could just fall under line, or you could follow lines under shapes or something.
This seems like 1A.
Do curves fall under lines?
Right. Yes, shapes do include curves. Actually, I guess curved lines could be still lines, not shapes. It's kind of a square rectangle situation, but both of those are actually shapes, not lines. It's very confusing, I know. Fourth is form, which is sort of also a subcategory of shape in my mind.
Yeah, one point A, point B. 1 point A, point I.
It's basically, it's when a shape acquires depth and becomes 3-dimensional. Not always literally. If you like shade things to make them look 3-dimensional, that still counts as form, which admittedly actually is harder because we don't have gradients. So that one we kind of have an issue with. There's value, which is not like price before you make that joke. It's the lightness and darkness of a color, which we actually are entirely missing. Although once again, that is definitely a subset of color.
It sounds like
it seems like there's 2.
I mean, so even sort of within the descriptions of all of these, and then also just the existence of some of them, it had a very real, like, trying to fill out a 5-page paper when you only had 2 pages of information kind of deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 7 is a cool number.
Right, exactly. 7's a strong number. It's very artful. So yeah, value we have some trouble with because we have no contrast because there's only 3 colors. 6 is space, which is just like things being there or not being there. I guess that's kind of a real one. I guess we're fine with that. That one we have. So that's cool.
We can not draw things. We're good at that.
We did get bailed out a lot by the fact that white is one of the colors. That helps a lot. And then 7th is texture. Texture is really a cop-out in a lot of these because obviously with like a sculpture, it can literally have texture. But, and I'm quoting here, it's defined as a description of the way something feels or looks like it would feel. So they're saying that if you draw something that looks smooth, that is a separate element of the art, which I don't entirely buy, but fair enough. That one we kind of also have trouble with because we have a very limited palette of other art elements to work with. So we are actually missing a decent chunk of these aside from like the shapeness. That's kind of the big thing we still have. So how can we kind of work with this and get to a more full-fledged art experience from these shortcomings we have? So I guess to start, there are forms of art that don't use all of these elements of art. A great example is just line art, which is just literally, art made with solid lines.
But it only has one of the 7 elements, Ben. Well, actually, it probably has like 4 of the 7 elements.
It has all the ones that are lines, yes. All 4 of them.
It has all the ones that are also lines.
Right. But I mean, and actually it's one of those things where I figured, this is a pretty simple thing. But actually there's some very cool art that's just, uniformly thick lines just done in, mostly using space and I guess, the line things. That actually looks really good. So, I mean, that is an option.
You almost sounded like refined for a second. Like, there's actually quite interesting things once you start using lines and space and shape things.
This is just like when I drink wine. I go, yes, I taste the grapes. Nuances of grapes. Shouldn't just be nuances.
Subtle hints of fermentation, I believe.
Yeah. This one's wet. But so line art's a thing. So that's a thing you can do, but it's pretty limited. And it's not really, the full-fledged art experience still. Something else, another form of art that exists in the real world that we can still use in this red, white, and blue space is shadow art, which is basically, it's almost like a subset of sculpture where you have these 3-dimensional objects that you put light across in a particular way that makes an image with the shadow. And guys, there is some really cool shadow art. a couple ones I'm looking at. There's these shadow sculptures by Kumi Yamashita, where she has one that has like, it's like a little like ledge almost, which is sticking out from a wall with a light underneath it. But because of the way that it's shaped, it looks like there's like a young child sitting on top of the ledge.
I'm looking at a Darth Vader one right now.
There are lots of them. So there's those. The other ones that are really cool, and I've actually seen some of this in person, but it's basically this they just take like steel wire or junk and stuff and just make it into like technically a sculpture of just like looks like nothing. But then when you put light across it, it makes like a fully formed image in the shadow. So the one I'm looking at right now is by this guy, Larry Kagan. He has one that has like this tangle of wire that makes like George Washington's face. And it's actually just one I will put in. Oh God, no, I can't copy it. Oh God, this is really embarrassing. I'm going to share it with you guys. I can't share it with you guys. Well, that was unsuccessful.
I'm sorry, this never happens to me.
But there's one that makes like a step ladder, which that sounds super lame, I know, but it's just like this jumble of wire. Can I find this really quickly?
From your description, in my head, it's cool, Ben. So it's okay.
Cool.
You don't have to send it.
It's just like a jumble of wire that has...
It's like those cool perspective things where if you're lined up completely right, then it makes an image, but it's just with shadows.
Exactly. Which, yeah, it's just a cool, it's another form of art that you don't need, colors in order to do. But we've sort of been dancing around the problem of not having color. So how do we actually get around this for art? And really, this really once again comes back to the fact that we get so saved by one of the colors being white. Because now we can use a couple of techniques called stippling and hatching. Which stippling is basically just making little dots of color that you do like non-uniform, width of and like density of to basically give the illusion of a gradient. So technically there is no gradient involved. It's all the same color, but just by having more white space around your dots, you can make an actual full image. And if you do it with fine enough dots, they can be really, really detailed and really, really cool. Hatching the same kind of idea, but with lines instead of dots. Everything in art comes back to lines. That's really the main thing I learned from all of this. But by doing this, we can actually sort of cheat and still have lighter colors than are just stock blue and red because of that white space in the image.
But we don't have many darker colors.
You don't, but... once again, we can use shadow to get darker colors. And this is where things get really cool. There was an art form that was popularized in like the late 1800s called pointillism. Which pointillism was similar to stippling, but instead of using white space, it just did dotting of different colors all around each other to suggest other colors, basically. So instead of having, there's no brush strokes or anything, it's just all dots, all very fine dots in different colors that make an image that are more than those colors in your eyes. Which we can't exactly do it because once again, we only have this one blue and this one red and this one white. But because we can use stippling to make lighter shades, and we can also use stippling between blue and red to make things between blue and red. We can basically, in the same way that like the pixels on a TV screen or a monitor make whatever color we want from red, or wait, was it actually red, green, and blue?
I think it's red, green, and blue.
Yeah, I got thrown off because newsprint isn't. It's like cyan, yellow, and something.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but...
CYMK.
CYMK, yeah.
So you're going to use pointillism to invent purple.
Exactly. And here is the thing that gets buck wild, is that you can do this and make a color that people have literally never seen before and does not exist in nature. Which is fucking crazy, right?
It is pretty awesome.
Like
it's pretty crazy, but every time it's gonna be shit brown.
I mean, you can.
It's not gonna be purple. I thought it'd be purple.
Sorry. The one in this case will be purple.
Right. Oh yes. Yeah.
I thought you meant in current day real life you could make a color that nobody's seen.
No, yeah, that you cannot do because colors. We don't have these same concerns. We can just make colors. But yeah, like in this world, we can still do basically any. By using stippling or hatching, we can make any shade, I guess, any lighter shade than the blue on the flag or the red on the flag of those two colors. And then we can blend those together using, like, a modified pointillism. And then what's insane is that I actually think that museums will become very popular just because you can see shit there that's not red, blue, and white. Which is going to be really, really appealing to people. That's really cool.
Pointillism t-shirts, get them in the gift shop.
Right, and that's one of those things where it's like, technically you could, and it would be incredibly expensive, but you could have a pink building, at least like from a distance. If you did that same thing across an entire building, it would just be like absolute hell to do, because you would have to do like, a bunch of just dots of red paint with, you paint it all white and then do dots of red all over it. And like at particular angles and distances, it looks pink. Doesn't seem worth it, but you could do it.
I'm sure someone would do it.
Oh yeah, it would definitely happen. It would be like one of those things that like, oh, that crazy rich, Bill Gates would have a pink house because he could or something, which would be fun, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, he could right now and he doesn't.
Well, I mean, there's less commitment required now, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lot less impressive. And that's kind of all I have. I didn't really have one. It's sort of like Chris. I didn't have like any sort of big realization aside from this like literally making colors that you can't see ever, which is kind of cool.
I mean, you've added a whole color to our hypothetical.
I have.
That's pretty good.
I have.
Yeah, you ruined the popularity of my blue.
I did ruin the popularity of your blue. I guess up close, blue is as rare as you can get. From a distance, you can get other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess technically you can get the real fancy people will have darker things where they have like very carefully positioned like lights and shades and stuff to get them like a dark red house or something.
They want a specific shade of their shirt, so they hired someone to carry a light with them.
With like a dimmer switch on to like
Yeah.
scroll up and down.
With certain shadows in certain places as they walk.
Exactly. That's kind of what I had.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Marcus, what'd you do?
Yeah, I was looking in a somewhat slightly overlapping vein, because I was looking at conveying kind of information, because we get a lot of our information. I can't think of another word for
Right.
it. From our visuals, like you have a traffic light. It's like there's red and yellow and green, and where I started was just looking at paper, like having what is your like office going to look like kind of thing. And basic documents are fine because you can just have like a white piece of paper with red or blue letters on it.
Yeah.
I was a little worried for a minute when like if you put your piece of paper down on your desk, there's a good chance that your paper is the same color as your desk. And it might be a little hard to like, especially if you put it face down, it might be a little hard to find that paper again.
Yeah. That's a concern.
Then I realized you could just put like a 3-color border around the paper and you'd probably be in decent shape.
That's smart.
I mean, that doesn't really happen right now. Like, if you have a surface with the same color as a paper.
Well, no, because it's always a different color. Like your desk will be,
I guess it's
even if it's a white
slightly
desk, it's
different.
going to be like an off-white, or it's going to be.
I feel like you'll see the shadows on the edges, though, right?
I mean, maybe, but not necessarily. And it's going to be like exactly the same color.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a problem. You just stick a border on it, and it's easy.
Or you just make all desks super glossy and all paper super matte.
It's going to be actually important when you buy paper to check out the the glossiness and matteness
Right.
and all those things that nobody understands.
You cannot match the glossiness of your paper, the glossiness of your office furniture. You get in very big trouble.
I can't just automatically pick the one that says resume paper when I need to do something
Right.
fancy. So words are fine, but more than that, like doing pictures where if you either want to create a picture or just show something that's like lifelike, you do have problems. Like I didn't have the pointillism. So the pointillism is one method of doing it. But the way I was going to do it is by using light, where you would have this would be a pain in the ass, and pictures would become a more expensive thing to do. But you could do layered paper, where you have like you have your first piece of paper, and then you have a cutout. Put a piece of paper on top of that, another cutout in the shape that you want on top of that, and you physically build kind of a thin 3D representation of what you're doing. Put a light underneath it, and now the light shining through. Now you can actually get shades and shadows through your drawing, and you can actually then see that. Because if you just print ink on it, you literally can't add shadows. It just won't look like real life.
So, fun fact, that's kind of how they did like the original like comics. They had, I want to say it was 4 colors, and they had like 25% thick like saturation, 50% and 100%. And they basically, the colorist on the comic book would layer those colors together to make the shades and the places they had to be for each page.
Yeah, you say like the original, but like the New York Times, you can still see when they stamp slightly to the left on the color that they need to put in. It's still 4 color shades. Like they're not using anything fancy still. So paper ended up not being too much of a problem. Like, obviously the picture pain in the butt. I like the pointillism idea a bit better. That's something
That is better.
A pretty good printer could do. But you can settle for crummy pointillism on non-important things. The tricky one is computer screens, because you can't add depth to a computer screen. So your computer screen, again, it's just red, white. If it's just the red, white, and blue, you could run like a very basic, just like command prompt type system where you have just basic shapes.
Oh god, that would be such hell to look at. Oh no. Oh, I'm seeing it right now, and it's so bad.
Yeah, this whole world's gonna be absolutely atrocious on the eye. It's gonna be so obnoxious.
I mean, could you do the pointillism thing on a screen too, though?
So
just like on a much smaller scale.
The problem is.
So, well, I have some stuff here, guys. So I'm gonna go through it.
Sure, go for it.
So nowadays, 99% of screens are LCD screens, liquid crystal display, and for this world, they're terrible. Because the way the liquid crystal display works is that they're just backlit. They have one brightness for the whole screen. And then the actual liquid crystals use polarization to reflect the light and turn it and bend the light in different ways to make it different colors and make the right images. But the bending only changes the color of the light, but not the actual brightness of it. So the problem is, no matter what you do with your liquid crystal display, you're going to still just end up with the same red, white, and blue, and you're not going to be do anything more subtle with it. So I started looking at different displays, see if anything would work. If you go back further in time, we had the old CRTs, the cathode ray tube TVs, the big fat ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the way those would work is they work like a laser show, where it just shoots it has a light that shoots a color, and it moves it very quickly to generate the image. So it'll just make a whole bunch of, it'll blink like printer lines almost.
Yeah, it does it like row by row, right?
Yeah, it does it row by row. It just does it incredibly fast to generate images. But again, they're all going to be the same brightness. So you're going to have that same problem where you can't actually get shadow and light. So you can't make anything look realistic. Like, you can't have a movie because it's just going to be flat. It's just going to be like a comic book. So I was kind of disheartened. I'm like, I can't actually make it work until I came across plasma screens. And what I didn't know is that plasma TVs are kind of like dead. Like, there's they're not making any new plasma TVs right now.
Oh yeah. The technology had so many issues. It's actually yeah.
Except it really didn't have that many, and the picture it actually had won all the top quality picture awards for a while.
It's super inefficient, right? In terms of energy.
So yes and no. Where it is more inefficient, but I think it ends up being $1 a month maybe, and it would be the difference in your electric bill if you have a big plasma. The real thing that killed them in real life is that they couldn't upscale to big screens easily. So once LCDs were doing 55-inch screens, plasma couldn't keep up. But the nice thing about plasma screens is that they work with individual bulbs. And these individual bulbs can be different brightnesses. So a plasma screen TV in our red, white, and blue world would actually be able to have brighter and dimmer lights to give depth to different images, which is pretty cool. There is one slight problem, though, with plasma screens, which I think this is just a funny problem. I did not know that this happened. Did you know that plasma screens don't work at altitudes above 6,500 feet?
Wait, what?
I did not know that. Why would I know that? Why did you have to ask that?
So the way the plasma, fires in these bulbs, it requires a pressure differential between inside the bulb and outside the bulb. And at the higher altitudes, the atmospheric pressure is less, and therefore the bulbs don't fire properly. And as you approach that higher elevation, they start to make apparently a buzzing sound when they're working, because they're trying harder to get that connection to be made. And then eventually they actually just don't work at all. So I was like, well, are there any cities that are actually above 6,500 feet? Are we just worried about the, base camp at Everest and calling it a day from there? But there are not many, but a good chunk of places a bunch of cities that exist above that elevation. Most notably population-wise, Mexico City, population 8.9 million, can't have any plasma screens up there. Bogota in Colombia, 7.8 million people, same thing, they're way up there. And the highest city that shows up on Wikipedia is appropriately named El Alto in Bolivia, with a population of 1.2 million. And they're at elevation I have to convert from metric, like 12,000, which is double the 6,500 feet. So I'm not quite sure what, I think it's basically if you just live in any of these cities, you just don't get good screens.
Well, I imagine those cities wouldn't have developed then. Or I guess...
Yeah, if you pull it back, well, they would have, because TVs are fairly new compared to the cities.
Screens didn't come, until later.
So you'd have to pressurize indoor rooms to make plasma screens work, which would be just a wild thing to have to worry about.
I feel like people, instead of doing that, they would just leave.
Right.
And go somewhere else.
Could you imagine being the mayor of, like, Mexico City and just, like, there's mass, like, people moving out because TVs don't work? And you're like, guys, get over it. just come back, please. And it actually affects one more place besides all these cities. And that is on airplanes.
No!
So airplanes, of course, obviously fly higher than 6,500 feet. But the cabin itself is pressurized. But it is pressurized to an equivalent elevation of 7,000 feet, which is just over our 6,500 foot altitude. So the way planes currently work, if you had your new fancy plasma screen phone on the plane, you would like turn it, you'd be like playing your Angry Birds or whatever, and as you went up and up and up, and as the cabin pressurized, your phone would just start making this crackling sound and then would just go out. Which would more strictly reinforce the no electronics policy on takeoff and landing.
This is true.
So, again, you could pressurize the planes a bit more. The reason they do it that way is actually because it helps alleviate some of the fatigue of flying at the lower pressure, because there's just, I don't know, I guess less, it turns out there's less strain on the body at higher elevations. But that's also the reason that people with like heart condition things can't fly, because of the lower pressure inside the airplane. So that was something fun I learned. So that's my main thing. I was kind of looking at a couple other things that just were funny problems that were going to be like a little bit tricky now in this world, as far as using color to like get information. And something I think is going to be tricky is cooking.
Cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's going to be the same color. All the spices.
Yeah, so there's a few things. One, seeing when your food's friggin' cooked. Like, you're just going to put your, red steak on the grill, and it's just going to stay red.
Well, you can use a thermometer.
Yeah, so yeah, you can use a thermometer. I think one that might actually be pretty bad is seeing when food is spoiled. Say, like, bread. It's going to be tough to catch those, like, first signs of mold.
Yeah, because the mold is green, which is going to be white, and the bread is already white.
It'll eventually turn blue, but it's far too late at that point.
It's going to eventually be blue, but you're dead then. Yeah. And then, yeah, Chris, like you mentioned, identifying spices, liquids, sauces, oils, telling all those apart, it's going to be tricky. So I actually looked a little bit about how blind people cook, because I figured they might run into some similar problems of telling things apart. And funnily, there wasn't anything like too crazy that they do. It's just like, yeah, I will like do things by feel, like check if things are done by feel, because you can like press down on a piece of meat and tell whether it's done or not if you have that feel for it. Do you guys know the hand trick to see how done a steak is?
Yeah, I do. It's cool.
I don't.
Yeah, so what you'll do is if you take your forefinger and have it touch your thumb, then you take your other hand and you feel that like that part of your hand where like that thumb muscle is, like the big one that's part of the hand. And you can feel that, and that'll be a rare steak. And if you now touch your middle finger, that area tightens up, and that's like a medium rare steak. And, medium well, and then well done is your pinky. And you can feel that muscle get tighter underneath your thumb as you do that.
That's interesting.
It's pretty cool.
So
yeah.
That's the cool cooking tip of the day that is going to be our new segment. Making burgers with Marcus. We're gonna start that up. We'll get a sting and an audio track for it.
Well, it wouldn't be a burger for that technique. It would be a steak.
Look, I'm already expanding it out. Even before the first official one, I'm already expanding out the territory, kind of staking out my space so you guys don't overlap with your cool new cooking segments.
Was that intentional?
Absolutely not.
I thought it was. Apparently not.
Actually, it was absolutely not intentional. But yeah, so when blind people are cooking, they mostly use timers and then just keep their like food and thing cabinets very organized.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just remember where everything is.
Because if you buy a bunch of spices, all my spices are in the same shape container. So if I mix them up, you'd have to like open it, smell it. I think we're just going to smell and lick things a lot more often in the kitchen. I think is really the main conclusion of what cooking's going to be like within this red, white, and blue world.
You could put labels on them.
That seems like also a smart idea.
We're not blind. We have other colors.
Yeah, I think actually it would just be the market. Like, it would be even earlier at the marketing team. They would just make their products very obvious what kind of, like, their container would have, like,
You could just
ridges or spikes or fancy shape or something.
I mean, we still have white, so it's just a white label with a blue word on it or a red word on it. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, but it's like,
It's the principle, I think,
if you ever
Chris.
gone into your, if you ever gone into your spice cabinet and you have to read all the labels, it's gonna take you forever to find anything. That's the worst, is the spice cabinet when they look all the same. So you can label that, but you also can't label like your vegetables and your meat products, the ones that are actually just a natural thing you're cooking. You can't label those.
You could put it in a bag and label that.
Yeah, but you have to cook it. You have to take it out of the bag to cook it.
I don't know. I'm not seeing the problem here.
This is great.
It's nothing insurmountable. It was just something I was exploring as a thought experiment, because that's what we do here. We do thought experiments in our crazy, absurd, hypothetical questions. That's all I got, though. My cooking was kind of just my fun wind down topic at the end of all my good TV tech talk.
TV Tech Talk with Marcus Lehner.
Coming right up after this break. So, Chris, with your smart mouth,
It's really weird.
would you rather moan louder every time the cashier scans an item, or only be able to buy things with pennies?
So the pennies thing, I think, is practically difficult. I think the moaning thing is more of a social thing.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be in the social thing category. That's going to be the problem.
I think I prefer them not, or just thinking I'm weird. I don't even think they'll dislike me. I think they'll just think I'm weird. Where if I pay with pennies, they'll dislike me.
So, maybe?
So my initial thought was that if you're buying things with pennies, you can just act like really embarrassed about it the whole time, and they'll be confused and a little annoyed, but they'll get it at least. Like if you're just like super
first time.
apologetic.
Yeah, that you do this every time, though.
Right. But if you're the guy who moans every time, I think that's a worse thing to be that guy every time. However, there is a very important clarification we have to make. If you can only buy things with pennies, can you no longer buy things online?
Let's say to keep the things fairly even, I guess, this will be only if you go to a physical store.
Okay.
So you can't go to it, like, if you're in a checkout lane.
Got it.
Would you rather be only pennies or moaning?
Okay.
I mean, you said that you prefer to be the guy that pays with pennies every time instead of the guy that moans every time.
I think I
I'm
do.
the other way around.
Because actually, hold on. All right, so now what I'm thinking about right now is that when I go like grocery shopping, I almost always do self-checkout. Now here's the question. Is it worse to be the guy who does the self-checkout and then brings out like a fucking 3-pound bag of pennies and stands there for 5 minutes putting them in the slot? Or to be the guy who's at the corner like self-checkout thing, just like louder and louder moaning to himself as he swipes his own items? That was not a euphemism, I promise.
just like, yeah, it's like, can you go to the store and just pick up some zucchinis for dinner? It's like, come on.
Man, that's actually really tough. Because I can avoid, and frequently do avoid, going to actual stores.
The thing is, if you're paying with pennies, you're holding up the entire line too. So you're not only making the cashier annoyed, you're pissing everyone else off too.
So here's my thing. Here's my counterpoint to that. I agree. I think the pennies are a bigger inconvenience, and there's an immediate dislike more than the moaning. The issue is, the worst case with the pennies is that people dislike you. The worst case with the moaning is you get, like, arrested.
Hey, you're not doing anything illegal.
You're making I mean,
how loud do you have to get? Because
I mean, it depends on how many items you have.
yeah, exactly.
right, but like the baseline, like where do you start at? Just normal talking?
Let's just say after like 10 items, it's getting uncomfortable, and after like maybe like 25, it's like you're practically shouting.
Okay, because you don't have to buy that many items at a time. You can just go to the grocery store more often.
Yeah, I think it's easier to mitigate the moans. You like sign up for Peapod, and you're gonna have emergency items you need to get, but it's only a few, and they won't look at you for that long, and it'll be okay.
Okay, here's my clause in the Peapod. Well, the delivery guy brings your groceries inside every time a grocery comes through your door.
Ooh.
It triggers. So it's all gonna happen all at once. And you're gonna have a very confused delivery guy.
You know what? Okay, I still do that because you can tip them, and you just are a big tipper. And they're going to think it's a sex thing, but you know what? You're a good tipper, and they'll deal with it.
And the other way around, you would have to tip them with pennies.
Right.
What if you could put the pennies in... What if you could have sleeve pennies?
See, I thought about that, but they're going to have to check them still. Like, you can't just take someone's word that this is a full roll of pennies. If someone comes and gives you, like, 12 rolls of pennies, you can't just take their word on it. You have to count them.
Okay, but it's pretty easy to check a roll of pennies. You just cut it or push it out, and it's like, okay, that's 50. Because their size, if it's a solid thing, it's 50 pennies.
I guess. Then you still get into some sort of, like, tricky biomechanical stuff where, like, how much does a roll of penny weighs? How much does a roll of pennies weigh?
You could bring a scale with you. And then weigh the pennies.
That's not what I was thinking, but I like your attitude.
And then and then show the cashier, hey, this is how much one penny weighs.
I've done the math.
You have a rig that, like, you pull down a little, like, roll up, like, presentation slide. It's like, the average penny weighs this much. This scale will, these are all pennies. And then there's, like, a little chart underneath it that shows how much weight for how many pennies it is. And there's like, trust me, this is
better than you counting them.
Yeah.
What I'm also seeing in my mind is that you definitely walk around everywhere with one of those, like, like the change belts that, like, a train conductor wears. You just have, like, that full of pennies. You're like, oh, what was that? $8? Just, like, rolling them out.
What's that? $8? Hold on. Let me just do this.
Yeah.
8,000 times.
You got two hands.
I mean, these pennies are going to be heavy if you're buying a lot of stuff.
It is.
And it's going to take up a lot of space.
Yeah, I think there's a very real limit on the so, like, both have a limit on the number of things you can buy at once. One is by weight, and one is by social, like, norms.
And then 2 is by C. All right. I think we've discussed it enough. Final answer time. I agree. I think moaning is the way to go.
Yeah, I say moaning.
I agree. We have a consensus.
All right, we would rather moan to cashiers than buy things with pennies. You've heard it here on Absurd Hypotheticals. Join us next week where we answer the following question.
Are you going to do a call to action?
Shit.
This is our call to action to Marcus Lehner to do a call to action.
Hi, I'm Marcus, and I have a call to action for you today. It is, leave us a review. Reviews are awesome. Because, 1, they make me feel very, very good about myself. But more importantly, the more reviews our podcast gets, the higher up it shows on all the fancy search engines and all the different things to get more people listening to the show, to make sure we get more viewers, to make sure we keep making the show for free for you. So really, it is like a free way to support the show where we can that'll make a real difference to how well we do. So pause this episode or finish this episode. There's like a minute left.
You keep on saying that. You keep on saying pause the episode when there's like a minute left.
Don't pause it. Please just get to the end, but still also do it. We value your time.
Give it a minute, but don't forget, go on to your iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or wherever and leave us a wonderful 5-star heartfelt review that makes me just so happy. And I'm sure Chris and Ben will get a kick out of it too.
Yeah, it's fine.
What? Are you kidding? You guys, come on.
No, it's great. Please do it.
Even fake and sarcastic, that makes me feel bad. And then you can leave us another review next week after listening to our special guest episode with special guest Alex Williams. Alex Williams does a very cool podcast called My Wax Museum, where he interviews different people and just kind of gets into that deep, real feels level where they start where they're talking about their lives and how they got to where they are in life, and it's a really cool listen. He also does a podcast if you are specifically named Alex or have an Alex adjacent name. He does a podcast called it's called Alex, just the word Alex, and
nailed it.
It's a podcast where him and his sister talk about Alex related things and bring on people named Alex. And he has one last podcast called Dear Subjects, where he explores the formation of a fictional nation where the listeners are actually the subjects of that nation. And he covers the role of a newscaster telling about the goings-on and the evolving story that the audience plays a huge part in. So another awesome, cool concept. But he'll be on, and we'll be answering the following question. What if birds didn't exist?